Hello and welcome to the Smarter Artist Show. Today's episode, number 24. We made it 24 episodes already. Same book, different architecture. That's the show title.
Are
So
you using your bedroom voice?
I'm
No,
using
dude,
my
he's
bed.
still, I'm telling you, he's half asleep right now.
I am fully awake.
We should
No,
have
he's just doing
rescheduled
the
this
midnight
one.
DJ thing. We're going to spin a few records
Fuck
for
off.
you still
I'm
out there
awake.
awake at this hour.
Well, I'm also quiet because like everybody's home and like right out there. So
I forgot about this is a blast from the past. This is how Dave used to record.
it's secret, like in a closet.
I was on a call yesterday with somebody who they're what they do for a living is helping people produce podcasts. And they, before we got on the call, they just looked up, what I had done with podcasts, and we're like, oh my God, there's so many episodes, because most people, I think the average is something like most podcasts don't go past episode 7, right?
Yes.
Like they start, they record a few, and like no one's listening to this. This is
Most people
stupid.
don't record an entire year's worth of podcasts because they have such abundance and then just ignore it.
All right, I really
No.
feel like we should put those out.
Yeah,
We
you
could use
should.
those for
I'm sure they're in
filler
Dropbox.
episodes. We can use those for filler episodes.
Dave, can you not whisper? Is it possible?
I am not. Fuck off.
You are, because, well, it's
You're
either,
waking me
hold
up.
on, I sense the punchline already. Either you're really quiet or Sean is really loud.
Fair.
I unplugged and plugged everything back in before we started. I rebooted my computer, so I invite you to go fuck yourself.
It'll be fine for the listeners because it'll auto adjust. It's just for us. We'll just have to guess what he's saying.
You know what? Dave has a birthday
Subtitles.
coming up. I know it. I know what I'm getting you for your birthday. I'm gonna get you a new mic for your birthday, but I'm also gonna get you instructions just in case that's the problem, because maybe it's not the mic. Because you're like, dude, it's not the mic. It's not the mic.
Maybe Daddy does what he wants.
I checked the connector that's plugged in. I got my volume up. I got my gain up. I got even my studio up, which I don't even need up. I got everything up.
Dave's got it up, everybody. You hear that?
Daddy's got it up.
Wow. I
All
truly.
right. So what are we going to talk about?
It's basically same book, different architecture. Although, we can workshop the title.
Please.
Basically, the premise
Can that be the
is
episode? Just workshopping the title.
workshopping the show. The premise is this. Okay, what we know now versus what we did when we were starting out, and how if we were releasing these properties today, or maybe re-releasing them like some people might be doing, how we would do it differently. So it's pretty simple premise. I think people can get some useful knowledge out of it if they have like hundreds of books.
Nobody
or
has
just
that.
starting out.
Yeah. How many of our listeners do you think have hundreds of books?
You never know. No, but it's good for anybody that's just starting, especially, if you're working on a series.
So, do you have something cool, Dave?
I do have something cool. And I'm curious. I was going to ask you about this, but I decided, no, I'll save it. Have you seen the show on Apple? It's on Apple, so you must have seen it, I assume, because Apple just feeds
I have seen
directly in there.
if it's on Apple and it hasn't concluded its run, there's still episodes to air. I haven't seen it.
It's in season 2 now.
Everybody following the flow chart?
Okay, so season 2, I've probably seen it. What is it?
Sugar with Colin Farrell.
Yes, I have seen Sugar.
Okay. My son wanted to watch. We have like so many things we could watch, and like I was trying to get him to watch Battlestar Galactica, and he sucks and he won't. So he wanted to watch it. I'm like, this looks so random. It didn't look good from the trailer, but we started watching it, and I'm enjoying it, and I have a feeling it's going to go somewhere really weird. So I don't know. I'm only on episode 3 or 4, but I have a feeling.
How many episodes is it? Is it 12?
I don't remember. I thought it was 8 or 10.
Okay, if it's 10, then I think it's episode 6, maybe episode 8.
It gave me a flat. There's a scene where the woman like has all these books and she takes out the typewriter and starts typing, and it reminded me of Fringe.
Yeah, and for Nevermore, we do something similar in For Nevermore with that. But yes, I am curious to have this conversation with you after you see season 1. So yeah, I can't talk
It
about it with that.
yeah,
It is a major spoiler, but
it's a mystery show, detective noir. He loves old movies. He talks to himself. It looks like your standard detective story, but something's wrong with him, and something like is just weird. And he's also dressed. Wasn't he in Minority Report?
Colin Farrell?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who's like,
Did he? It looks like he's wearing the
Naysayer.
same outfit, or maybe it was from another sci-fi movie. The black suit, the black tie.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know how to talk about this. But we'll talk about it once you know. But it is the kind of thing where I could see you and I doing something similar, and it seems like a massive commercial mistake. I would refer to the show. I don't think this is a spoiler. Is saying it has some genre confusion, which I actually like, and I don't do
Like
this.
you in high school.
Yes, yes, like me in high school. I don't do this often, but I did do it for Sugar, where I got to this particular episode. Maybe it's 8 episodes, and this is episode 6. That sounds right to me off the top of my head. So I finished episode 6, and I immediately went to the internet to see what people were saying about this, and the people who loved what was done really, really loved it, and I count myself among that group. I think that it made this okay, I would say more than half of the people who were commenting, it ruined the show for them. They were out. They're like, "Okay, I'm done with this."
People
But
suck.
but for the people who enjoyed it, again, and I'm in that group, it reinvigorated the show for me. It was like, okay, I like all this new context. That's really awesome. Now I really want to see where it went, or where it's going. So yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2.
So is this like when the Muppets showed up on Gen V?
I have not seen that, but do you remember when
They
Quentin
did?
Tarantino showed up in the Muppet movie?
I don't.
Oh my god, it's the craziest shit you've ever seen. Dave, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but did it involve their
I've seen
feet?
the Muppet movie.
No, it's a Muppet retelling of Wizard of Oz. It's the most random.
So a Muppet movie, not the Muppet movie.
Yeah, a Muppet
Okay.
movie.
Did
Yeah,
he
it's
drop the N-word like 52 times and then look at their feet? Because that's what he's known for. I mean, that's his thing.
no,
Oh, and choking Uma Thurman.
it was crazy. We had my children were very young, and we're watching it, and I have no idea this is coming. None. All of a sudden, it leaves the Muppet retelling of Wizard of Oz, and it goes to like a boardroom where Quentin Tarantino is holding a katana blade, and
Is he with his buddy Harvey Weinstein?
no, he's
Okay.
not. I don't know. He's like pitching. I forget exactly. Now I have to go see this on YouTube. I think he's like pitching Miss Piggy as the bride in a sequel to Kill Bill. It doesn't make any sense. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Chances this was just a lucid dream.
Okay. I'm actually gonna look this up while Johnny does it, because it does sound like I'm making it up. I realize that.
Sounds like an
Yeah, it's just a big,
ayahuasca Bill
it's just a big
story.
punk. I have a question first, and it's Dave. Your wife has been seen from, right? Like she's not missing or
No,
anything
she's
like
right
that.
out there.
Because there was this huge gap and she's alive, right? Because there was this huge gap in my.
I'm not David Miscavige or whatever his name is.
Okay, because I missed a few years here, and like there used to be a lot of vigilance over what your son was allowed to watch. And now it's like, it seems like, well, you're watching everything. So I figure you must have like put her under some sort of a spell or have her tied up in the basement or she became a Satanist or something.
Yes, no, he's 19 now, and you know,
I didn't,
we've moved
I didn't get
on.
the impression that would have made the difference. Oh, I'm going to
You guys are gonna get Dave in trouble.
I'm going to scream it.
Dave's
All right.
actually, for those of you who can only hear at home, Dave's literally putting his finger in front of his. Wait, they can hear us? Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Okay.
How's it going?
Well, just so this is so great. Just so
My
you
walls
know,
are like paper.
Cindy can't hear you. I can barely hear you, so you can say whatever you want.
Don't you love somebody who's so paranoid but doesn't wear the headphones?
Yeah.
I don't have them. They broke.
Another thing to get Dave for his birthday. So for
Oh,
my
Okay, wait. Oh no, this will be my something cool. Go ahead.
Okay, so my something cool is a little it's a little something shameful. I have finally capitulated on the social media front. I
What?
tried for a really long time. No, I opened an Instagram account, and the reason was because I just for the longest time said I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with it. And there were several reasons. Number one, I found it to be very toxic and overly dramatic. And every time I would go in there, I would feel sad. It had nothing to do with the media itself. It had to do with what it had become. And I said, I'm going to do stuff my own way. I'm only going to communicate by email. And so that's what I've steadfastly done. However, the problem is that the people on the other end don't behave in the same way. So like I never hear from anybody except for the few people who will reply to an email, which admittedly that's a lot of friction to ask somebody to reply to an email. So it was like, is is this thing on? Like it was a little like, and if I don't get feedback, if I don't feel like an audience is paying attention, it sucks. So I finally like I did some research. I looked around, I talked to people I know, and I became convinced, rightly or wrongly, that Instagram was the least of evils, and it seemed to suit sort of what I had in mind. So I did yesterday. I got Johnny B. Truant. I was glad nobody poached that. So I am on Instagram, and we'll see how long it takes. But I'm not going to like follow the rules of like, well, you must do this in this time and post 6 times a day, and so we'll just see how it goes, I guess.
You gonna do live videos?
But I feel a little sad for capitulating. What'd you say, Dave?
Are you gonna do live videos?
I'm going to proceed and figure out what the hell I'm doing. It's much more complicated than I thought. Like Twitter, there was one thing you could do. Facebook, there was basically one thing you could do. Instagram, it's like there's like 4 or 5 things you can do, and they go to different people and they're different formats. So I'm still brand new to it, and I feel like that thing where Abe Simpson was old man yells at cloud. Like that's the way I feel on
Get
Instagram
off
right now.
my lawn!
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Johnny. Cause I get it. I get the resistance. I have the same thing, but in 2 weeks from tomorrow, I'm relaunching fiction, and I know it's only a matter of time before I figure it out. I'll probably do TikTok simply because
He
and
wants
I
to
hate
dance.
TikTok. I hate TikTok more than I hate Instagram. But if I'm gonna capitulate, I'm gonna capitulate all the way. I'm gonna do the thing that gives me the best results, not the thing that I'm most comfortable with. So if I already have to cross the line, I'm gonna leap over it. So but I'm
That's
not gonna do
really
it till I have the
interesting. You just
bandwidth.
got an interesting window into our 2 personalities. Dave's, you already know, you know his personality. But I'm like, I want to keep following my own rules, but I'm willing to go this one more step. And Sean's like, in for a penny, in for a pound, might as well get the most results. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll see how it works, because my reasoning is I don't want to go into anything that I don't want to do, not just because I selfishly like I don't want to do it, but because I feel like it will show. And I feel like people will know it. So the more I feel like I want to be there, hopefully the more people will want to talk to me there.
Well, I feel like I need to jump in. Like it's like the water's cold. I don't really want to go swimming, but I'm gonna jump in and get used to it real fast. And part
And
of it for
show
me too,
everyone
it's
your
like,
shriveled dick.
what? I cannot hear you.
Yeah, I didn't hear him either. He probably said something about like squirrels.
So yeah, it's because it's not just me. It's like I do have a company. I do have like my manager really wants me on Book Talk. Like that's how you move books. And so I feel like if I'm gonna do it, then I'm gonna do it. Like he asks all casually, maybe like once a month. So have you thought about Book Talk? And not really, but like yesterday or on Monday we had our talk, and I was talking about how I'll be doing email, and I'm relaunching, and we'll be doing this, and it comes up. It comes up every time we're talking about like more of a mass broadcast. And he's right. Like if I'm going to do it, I should do it. But I'm not going to do it until I have the bandwidth to do it, because to your point, Johnny, like I have to want to be there. I have to like enjoy it. Otherwise it's going to be hollow, and I don't want to do it hollow. I just want to figure out what it is. So anyhow, good job, Johnny.
Yeah, so punchline, Johnny B. Truant. Everybody follow me. Make me feel better. Tell me that you're glad I'm back. Or just
I
yell at
can't
me.
wait. I can't wait till you go and discover the live videos, because those are a special treat. Can you not hear me?
I can
Barely,
hear you
dude.
if I focus very carefully.
Yeah, it's barely.
Yeah.
It really is painful. All right. So
God damn it.
My something cool is actually that this morning at 5 o'clock this morning, my son got in the car and is driving to Long Beach where he is getting on with the rest of his life. So empty
Ooh, in
nest
Long
fully
Beach.
activated. Yeah, he's moving back to our roots. Yeah, he's going back to Long Beach. So my youngest son is now out into the real world, done with college, on with his life. And I feel too young to have a son that old, but that's the math of it. So that was the something cool I came prepared for. But the something cool I want to share with everybody right now is about Quentin Tarantino's cameo in the 2005 made-for-TV movie The Muppets Wizard of Oz is widely considered one of the strangest and most hilarious crossovers in Muppet history. I only agree with the first part of that. Like, it is bizarre. So here is a breakdown of what exactly goes down in the scene, followed by the backstory. We don't need the backstory, but here's what happens. The cameo happens during the climax of the film. Dorothy, played by Ashanti, is just about to defeat the Wicked Witch of the West, played by Miss Piggy, by traditionally throwing a bucket of water on her. Suddenly, the film completely stops dead and cuts to a Hollywood executive boardroom. Kermit the Frog is sitting behind a desk acting as the head, and Quentin Tarantino, playing himself, is sitting across from him, furiously pitching a different ending. Tarantino suggests tossing out the water bucket in favor of a hyper-violent martial arts climax. He pitches Dorothy whipping out a Hattori Hanzo samurai sword to dispatch the witch, screaming, "I'm talking kung fu! I'm talking walking on walls! I'm talking explosion everywhere!" When Kermit nervously points out that this is a family film, Tarantino dials back the violence but ramps up the absurdity. He suggests an action sequence where the witch is transformed via CGI into a busty vampire vixen, animated in a classic anime style. Quote, for the kids. Kermit tells him that would be entirely too expensive. Deflated, Tarantino simply suggests, well, then just have Dorothy kick her in the face.
This might be my favorite thing ever. Is this movie considered a masterpiece?
Kermit smiles and says, now that we can afford. The movie then cuts back to Oz and Dorothy promptly kicks the witch in the face. Okay, now put yourself into my body watching this with my children for the very
can we
first
please
time.
rewind time and have you tell me without question to watch this without telling me anything that you just told me now? Because I want to be surprised.
I can never have that surprise back. I couldn't believe what was real. Like, who is the audience for that? The kids don't know who Tarantino is, and the parents are just like offended. Like, I just, it's the most bizarre thing.
If you look up Muppet Wizard of Oz, he's the third person who comes up. Quentin Tarantino. It also has a blistering 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I might need to watch this just that scene.
That's generous. It is.
But that scene is great, right?
It's not. It's Tarantino is most annoying, and it is the most it's one of the
worse than Alias.
No, he's better in this than Alias. He's really, really bad in Alias. Yeah. So anyway, I highly recommend either seeing or not seeing that scene. I think you're right either way.
I just looked it up, and you can just find that scene on YouTube. So I think I will be watching that next.
I think I'm going to watch it again.
I think a family viewing is in order.
Yeah. Ooh, now you're loud and sexy. I just love that you're always able to fix it, implying that all the protest is like, what's up?
I did nothing. I literally did nothing except
you sound
turn it
great
on and
right
off
now.
again.
I actually have to turn my volume down now.
I like to imagine that there's a very small man under Dave's desk who just messes with the cables all the time and he didn't know he's there.
Maybe it's that guy that worked at Publix.
Wow, you do sound really good right now.
Yeah.
Dave's still half asleep.
No, I'm not. Fuck off. God damn, you're waking me up. You're going to rile the beast.
Wait till your daddy gets home.
You won't like me when I'm angry. I turn green. So something that we released before that we would do differently now. Like, how would we write it differently? We would release it differently. Would we have like ancillary products or short stories or any of that stuff to go with it? Would we build more books out in the universe and actually give it a proper run? And what I had in mind for this was Available Darkness, which I always thought I like the especially the first book in the series. I really loved the mystery there in the world and all of that. And if I were doing it differently, if we weren't jumping to a different serial now, I would have pushed that more. I would have maybe written like side stories in between seasons or something. That's the initial thought that I had on how I would do that differently now.
That's actually cool, Dave, because we have a whole like revival program that we're doing,
A
like
church revival.
rebooting old stuff, and Available Darkness was on the list, and but it was going like to general, like, hey, who's interested in rebooting some of this stuff, and I kept Available Darkness off of the list because I'm like, no, this is something that is special to Dave, that Dave would want to add to this world and do things that, you know, are very much just for Dave. And I absolutely can see you doing a great job with that world. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
I didn't know it was almost going to go to someone else. I would have been pissed.
No,
He's gonna give it to me.
never, yeah, it was,
And
It
then
was-
Johnny's going to get a TV deal out of it.
it was never in jeopardy. But yeah, I think like a standalone Abigail series would be amazing. And
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So
yeah, well, let's actually talk about that. I think that there's a market for that, and I think that it really hits your sensibilities. And I also like that there's this return to your roots with it, you know. So I love that answer for you.
yeah, and it is like one of the very first stories I thought up when, I don't know, I was like a teenager, maybe even younger than that. I don't know the origins of it.
And it's Dave Core too. So for those of you who have not read Available Darkness,
Dude, I
this is-
love Dave Core.
This is my very, very first experience writing with Dave. Was he sent me some like the first chapter or something, and then I did a little bit of editing, sent it back to him, and then we started collaborating. So I think it was like on day 2 or maybe 3 where I got to know the real Dave. I didn't know the real Dave before like this. So I'd met him. He had a site called Blogger Dad, and he was all like good daddy, not piss daddy, just like regular good daddy. And
It was a humorous website about parenting.
yeah, he was basically trying to be like a Dave Barry. And so I didn't know about the children in his basement. I didn't know any of that. And then it's day 3, and you guys literally, the copy that I get on day 3 is behind a wall. There's a little girl kept prisoner.
The funniest thing about all of this
Wait. The funniest. So
Because that was
make a
pretty
list
damn
of-
funny.
Yeah, make a list of all the funny things about the girl behind the wall, Dave.
Well, the funniest thing about, okay, so originally Available Darkness, when I conceived of it, it was a man wakes up buried alive and he has no idea why, and he claws his way out of the grave, and
That's how you wake up every morning, right?
it is, and he realizes that he's a vampire, but not like the technical, like the normal vampire, more like X-Men's Rogue, like where he touches somebody, except it drains their life and their memories.
But they're still allergic to sun, like sun kills them.
Yeah, he's still alert. Yes, and you later find out what he really is. But as a when I thought of the story, that's really like the driving force. Like, how did he become this? What happened to him, and the whole mystery of that. And then when I was writing and sending Sean chapters, I was like, I want to add an extra element to this, like a cliffhanger. And
you go straight to girl behind the wall.
Well, because he found these people in this house and they were dangerous. And I was like, okay, well, if he kills both of them, there's nothing really at stake. But if there's somebody else in the house, and then I was like, okay, I'll just like flash back on every single news story I've read out of Florida for the past 20 years.
What percentage of people in Florida are keeping children in the wall?
Probably 93.
But not you. You're one of the 7% that is wall free with their children.
Down a little because of the economy.
I'm open range child slavery. They're out in the yard.
Oh, that's good.
I'm giving them some daylight. So anyway, I
What do you
added
think
that.
the robots are going to summarize this episode?
The pro-slavery Quentin Tarantino loving podcast.
Ooh, can I back out now?
You can promote this on your Instagram. Abigail is the girl's name, and I introduced her like almost like a cliffhanger, like I don't know what I'm gonna do with her, but here we go. and she became like the heart of the story. And I really
She
liked
was
her.
your Mauricio.
Yeah, I really liked her character and the struggle that she goes through. And I guess, spoiler alert, she becomes a vampire herself, or whatever, our guy is. His name is John. So yeah, and I really liked that. I don't know. I think, actually, when I think about it, like when I envisioned her in my head, I was probably thinking of like Let the Right One In.
Clearly.
Could have called
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, I had watched that. I think that came out like in, I don't know, I saw it in like 2010
Yeah,
maybe. I
you
don't know.
literally told me that's what you were thinking of.
Yeah. So I like the idea of somebody being, stuck forever, like the curse, although I would love to be a vampire, but as long as I lost weight first.
I should make a TV show about that.
So yeah, so if well, if we're gonna redo it, we can talk about the ideas there, I
Well,
guess.
that one wouldn't really be redoing it, it would be expanding it, right? But for redoing it, I've got an answer for us, and then I've got one for me and Johnny. So for us, it's Karma Police is absolutely what I would redo. I think that like I like the story as it turned out, but I feel like we really failed on a reader experience for that. So background on this property, the story. So Dave had read
Every Day by David Levitan.
yeah, and really liked the body hopping on that, and that felt like I mean, Every Day was it's not even it's a novella, right? Like it's not even
No,
No, it's
it's a
about,
book, but it's not terribly long.
and there's 2 sequels, and I've not read either of them yet. At the time, they weren't out. The second one is the same story from the other person's point of view, and I don't think there's like supernatural in that. And then the third one is a proper wrap up. But when I read Every Day, I thought this is really cool, but it's a YA story, and it's kind of like a love story, a little bit of drama, suspense. But what it lacked, it made me wonder, like, why is this person like jumping from body to body? And I was like, well, if I wrote the story, that would be like the driving mystery of it. And at the time, he hadn't released anything else or said he was going to. So I was like, okay, he's just going to leave it open ended. So I wanted to do like my version of that, but different enough that, I'm not ripping him off. And yeah, so
and at the time we were talking so time-wise, Dave and I had just finished we had finished our contract with 47 North, and so it was Monstrous and the Z2134 series. And so those were both out, and Dave and I each had written or taken the lead on our own novels and then kind of traded them. And that was Crash and Threshold. And that had like kind of like upset the apple cart on our mojo. Like we lost a lot of rhythm. So we were each supposed to spend a month or so on our novels and then trade. And Dave's novella took about 6 months. And then so we were looking for a way to get back because we lost a lot of publishing time and a lot of momentum, and we weren't like our readers were like, what's next? And we're like, we'll figure it out. And so we were trying to think of like what's a new series that doesn't get us into our old traps but is repeatable. And so the idea was we could write these novellas, and each one can kind of be standalone because the character's in a new body, each one. But then you have kind of basically the X-Files model where you've got each one is a monster of the week. Each one is its own standalone story, but then you've got this mythology that's kind of happening in the background, but it just happens at a trickle. So that yeah, all the way on. And by the second episode of this, they weren't even really episodes. They were really supposed to be standalone books in a series that could run for a very, 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 very long time. And that was going to be like, okay, here's the thing that we do next. And it was called Karma Police. And the first one was just called Jumper, that kind of, introduced the world and the character and all of that. And then we were supposed to get one right away, I don't know, like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, like these were meant to go fast. About 3 months passes and we get the second one, and it's totally fucking different. And there's all kinds of like supernatural stuff introduced. And like Dave said, he turned the faucet all the way on. And then it turns into this sci-fi thing. And there's AI actually way ahead of the curve on the AI stories. But the rhythm is the first
now I
one.
want to reread it.
Like the story itself is good, like, but it goes from 30,000 words to, I think, like 20 and then 40 and then 18,000. And so
I
like
should have ended with like a 500,000 word book.
it's just the most erratic reading experience for both length of each story, tone, characters, genre. It is so all over the place. So the only way to solve that is to put them all together into one book and then kind of sand out the edges, which is what we did. Coincidentally, we had a conversation either this morning or yesterday about this because we're revamping a lot of the catalog, and so it was like, hey, we were originally, you know, doing the 6 individual covers, and I was like, no, I think the only way to give this experience to the reader is in one book. I don't think we have 6 books here. I think we have one book. So that's one where I would love. Like, I loved the original premise, and I loved the original book, and it's not that I don't love how it turned out, because I think we did put a lot of work into the last couple episodes to bring everything home and to make it feel like a unified experience as much as possible, but I don't think it lived up to its potential, and I think it was a really cool kind of forever series idea that never happened.
So would you redo that?
No, because, like, the wind has gone out of the sails on that. Like, I think we have so many ideas that
Yeah.
I don't think I didn't love the idea so much that I think it's worth redoing. It's just that it is one of those where if I could, like, snap my fingers and say, like, "Oh, what could that have been?" Okay, that's it. I think it's one that had a lot more potential than we tapped. And I think that the standalone book that we have, Karma Police, is absolutely worth reading in our catalog. It's awesome, but I don't think it's the really cool series that we could have had. We'd basically be on Apple TV right now if that had been fully executed.
I Davified it.
Well, I think it's a good example of all of our worst tendencies in one project. You know,
Oh, that sells it.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, for a reader who loves what we do and is just reading it start to finish, it's awesome. But like, it does have a lot of our tropes. You know, it's got the absentee father who works too much. Like, it's so CI Dave and Sean tropey, and I think that the standalone experience was like an opportunity to get, you know, away from that and do something, you know, a little bit elevated and a little bit different. I also think just on a professional level, it's also us at our worst, where we promised the reader one thing and then, you know, we didn't deliver it. We're
We
like,
Quentin Tarantino their asses.
no, I wish we had Tarantino their ass.
No,
But
in the like Muppet movie, you
when
go
the
for the
Muppet movie, oh yeah,
and
okay,
Tarantino shows up.
we did Muppet Tarantino them. That's fair. How about you? How about you, Dave or Johnny? What's something that you would do differently
Well, should
or
I
package
answer?
differently?
Absolutely nothing.
Should
Everything
Dave-
I do is perfect.
No, I mean, that is kind of my answer, but that's not because everything I do is perfect. It's because
Johnny, who's your favorite writer?
I think everybody should be their own fucking favorite writer. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. If you aren't your own favorite writer, why are you writing?
Wait. Oh, okay. Before we get into this,
Okay. Oh wait, hold on. Dave is not his favorite writer.
no, not by a long shot.
Dave, are you your least favorite writer?
I hate myself. I feel like most writers, like they have, you know, they're reaching for something, but they always see where they fall short, and therefore they can never truly enjoy their own stuff. For me, I can enjoy it like well after the fact. Like if you ask me to read something right away after I wrote it, I'm only going to see what it could have been or the flaws or whatever. So you're not like that. You just see how awesome everything is, and
Again, I would choose not to phrase it in terms of how awesome everything is. It's that I'm a more, and Sean and I have had this discussion. Like, I'm kind of an art-minded writer, and what that means to me is that I think that a thing is what it is, and when a story is halfway told and I don't know what to do next, I believe that the clues are already baked into what I've already written. Or, you know, with Sean, obviously it's what we've written and what we can uncover. It's not just me. But the idea is it's already in there because the art is trying to be what it is. And I realize this is a really pretentious asshole answer. But for that reason,
Jackson Pollock that shit.
well, for that reason, my kind of philosophy, and maybe this is a reason that Sean and I don't run a business together at all anymore, is I kind of believe I would rather do what I want to do and then find the people who want to buy that thing. And then The positioning, and this is where I actually do feel I have something to say, is in the packaging and the presentation, because a given thing can be presented in different ways. None of them disingenuous, but it's like, which aspect do you want to feature for which people? What would they like? So for that reason, I don't normally like the idea of reinventing everything. It's the same thing as when people say, what would you do differently if you were to meet yourself from forever ago? Nothing, because I like the way my life turned out. So, anything to do that whole butterfly effect. So when this was originally, when Dave sent around the email, it was put in IP terms. And we haven't talked in IP terms. I don't really tend to think in IP. I know that's a fault in some ways for sure, but I don't. So I wasn't going to have a lot to say about that. But I think if we look in like packaging and positioning, that I think is something that I have at least become a little bit more aware of, in that I think a lot of authors expect people to see the story the way that they intend for people to see it, which means that they're doing some sort of a mental trick of like, how would I like this best? Let me think, let me investigate. People don't do that. You have to be able to present it to them in a way that they would like, which means that it comes down to framing and positioning. And so I think of a story like, I know I've whipped on this one before, and Sean, I don't know if you still disagree with me on this or not, but I always felt that Chupacabra Outlaw was misnamed and mispackaged, which is why I now sell it as Cursed, because it's a horror story, and that title and the cover that we had made it feel zany. And so that was a way to not put it in front of what I thought was the correct audience. So that's kind of the way I look at it, is I create the thing, or we create the thing, I don't know, I keep saying we create the thing, and then we figure out how to present it to the people who might like it. I don't know. I know that's a douchebaggy, like circuitous answer, I know.
Well, that's funny. So there's two projects that I would do a little bit differently than on our stuff, and that's one of them. But it's not the name. Although I think I think that Chupacabra Outlaw isn't quite the right title, but I also think that Cursed isn't either, because Cursed is just, it doesn't say enough. There's too many things called Cursed. Like, it doesn't
Like
have.
my autobiography.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Have you thought about what it would be called?
Well, as you just were talking out loud just now, I was thinking even just outlaw, just outlaw. But my different take on that wasn't the name, although I do think it deserves a better name. Like, it doesn't have the name yet. Chupacabra Outlaw is not the name. I don't think Cursed is the name. I think there's a better name for that property. But I also think that its original conception is it's actually a lot, well, not a lot, but similar to what I was saying about Karma Police. Now, Johnny and I think, came a lot closer to a consistent reader experience, as far as like, these are episodes, and it tells like we did the same thing. Like, it was supposed to be kind of an ongoing series where it was basically The Prisoner. It was The Prisoner with like a, not The
The
Prisoner.
Fugitive.
The Fugitive. Yeah, The Fugitive with like a werewolf character, except instead of him being a werewolf, he turned into a chupacabra. And it was like through the American Southwest. And it had cool mythology. And I really like the character work in this. And like, there's some really cool episodes, like the one with Mama Abuela, I love.
Yeah.
Like, I love the story. I love the mythology. I love Thomas Morales, who, has been chasing him for a century. And, like, there's a lot that I love about it, but I felt like it had a cool, like, serialization engine that we never really tapped into, because we wrote the first few episodes, and then we took a big break. And then we came back and closed it down. And I think that the engine of that could have been a little more like the old Fugitive TV show, which was kind of the point, and have, a little more legs to it. By the time we got to the Wendigo at the end, like, we were basically trying to bring it home and wrap it up.
He
But
was awesome, though.
I think it had a little more breath in it.
Let me ask you a question about that, because that's interesting, and that's all very valid. So the idea of keeping the serialization engine, is that more of like a for commercial reasons or commercial play, or you feel that the story would have worked better that way?
Both. Both. I think that it would have sold better, and, if they're like, each one was just long enough to be its own standalone story. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then it had like, because the first one totally operates like that. It's a little too short, to be sold on its own, but I loved it. It was basically Smitty's barbecue, which Johnny and I had been to. It's, the main character is making a new home for himself at this barbecue place. It feels like a pilot episode. And then these bad guys come in and, they like take hostages, and he has to, you won't like me when I'm angry. He turns into the Chupacabra. He fucks them up, and he's like, well, shit, I just made a home here, and now I have to leave. And now the word of this is going to get out, and Tomas Morales is going to come chase me. And like, it's a great pilot engine. It feels really propulsive. And then there's like, I think that if we had just captured that energy where each one really could stand on its own as a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it also drove like a long running series. I think.
So you remember this struggle working with me though, right? Like
Yes.
I'm not able to write that way. I need to see an ending because otherwise I can't wrap things up. I'm really uncomfortable in the middle. In the middle because maybe because of what I was talking about before, I feel that the ending is baked in. Like there's somewhere this story is going. And we've tried, just for the people out there in listener land, we've tried to do many different times a series that would just continue, like one of these, like, Jack Reacher
Forever
stories or
series.
whatever, where you can, because they're great. Like they're, they're fun, and people love them, and they're really commercially viable and all this stuff. But I don't seem to be able to do that because I'll overcomplicate everything so that no story stands alone. It's all
Yeah.
part of a larger story. And it's the reason that now that I sell these things, I've collected them all into omnibuses, because either subconsciously or deliberately, they're one story to me.
Yeah,
So I don't think that way.
the worst that we were ever at, like, this is Johnny and I at our worst. This tendency is the Trillionaire Boys Club, when we were writing as Aubrey Parker, and we tied it into the beam.
But you say the worst. I think that's the most fucking amazing thing ever.
Yes, but how well did it do for us? Like it didn't do that well for us. And
No, commercially didn't work at all. But that's, again, my metric is how cool is the story. So
yeah, but for me, it didn't work commercially, and it's one of my least favorite projects that we did. Like it didn't hit that. Like, I love the beam stuff, but I felt like it was very separate, and I felt like we were forcing it into this like romance. Like those were books that could have just gone on forever. That's what they were designed to do, and it didn't need the complication. And I didn't feel like the story was good enough to justify that. So, but I wouldn't revamp that, like, because I don't care enough about trillionaire romances or billionaire romances.
Especially now that there's a trillionaire and nobody wants romance with that guy.
Yeah. So, but the other one that I think had a really, really cool energy on the pilot and then just veered off. And again, this isn't like a complaint or wanting to redo it at all, because I do love this series. I do love what it became. I love the world and the characters in it. But the Robot Proletariat, that first season, has such a cool like thriller energy, where it feels like there's a body hidden, and it just felt like really specific, like sci-fi thriller TV. And it's contained, it's all one location, and then it gets Robin Sans sprawl like right away in season 2, and a lot of that is my fault. Like, we actually had 2 versions of season 2, and there's too many ideas. I think
I can't write another way though.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would be, I don't want to do this, but it would be interesting to see what would happen if we were to try that. Because my guess is I don't think I could pull it off. Maybe you could pull it off with a different partner, but I am always looking for the completion. And that Robot Proletariat, and I'm not arguing with you on this point at all, I'm just giving a little more context, is that was like, it was contained because of what it was. It had to graduate to something else. I don't know how we would have done that again without making it a new story. Now, if that was the story, if book 1 was the entire thing, then yeah, I mean, obviously we could write another completely divorced one. But my problem is in the linkage that happens when you expand a story, is it has to go somewhere. I can't do the same story again, unless the story were about a series of like robot insurrections or something, and they did start fresh every time. But it's so funny with the Trillionaire Boys Club. I don't know if if we've talked about this, but the reason that got so complicated is they were designed to be independent, but we were so, and this is both of our faults. We were so obsessed with the idea that at the time, the idea of a trillionaire was absurd. Like there was no fucking, but, and as somebody who's writing billionaire romance says, okay, that's absurd. Let's do it anyway. But we were like, well, hold on. We're science fiction guys. We have to give a reason.
I have to say that was probably more my fault than yours, even because I justified every business. I'm like, how do these people actually?
Well, and they pooled their money to make the trillion. Like we had to make it feasible. And by the way, that's how I'm wired anyway. I can't skip past things that don't make sense to me. So the minute that happened, there was no way they weren't going to interact with each other. There was no way that this like syndicate that had $1 trillion in assets wasn't going to infight and everything.
The whole premise of the Beam is that there's people who have pooled their money and, like basically are running the world.
They're Trillionaire Boys Club.
Well, I know the Beam has panel, right? And it has like so it made sense. Well, it didn't make sense. It was easy to draw a line and say, okay, how these people became some of these people later on. It was unnecessarily complicated.
But that happened because one of them had some sort of a sex-related business. And then I was like, well, it has to be called something. So I tied it into I was like, this will be fun, which is the business and future of sex, which is Beam World. And then once that happened, like it's off to the races. Like I can't forget connections like that. So I think I'm just wired that way. I don't know that I can.
Yeah, and I remember the conversation too. You're like, it was something like, I don't know. I'm feeling this calling to kind of tie it into the Beam. Is this ridiculous? Is this stupid? And I said something like, yeah, but if it makes us happy, who cares? And then it was just like, well, Pandora's box is all the way open.
That's my entire career is, does this story make me happy? And then if it has commercial success, good. It's like a magic trick I have to pull after the fact. I can never start that way.
And Dave, if a story makes you happy, is that how you know it's time to throw it away?
Yes. If Dave knows a story makes him happy, that's where you put a warning on it for the reader.
Warning: 12-year-old girl in wall.
Depression.
Warning: writer had joy.
So, well, at least you didn't like tie it to the Muppets in some way. So
no, but give us time.
That was an oversight.
I mean, I
feel like Trillionaire Boys Club deserves to be tied to Tarantino as much as the Muppets do.
But this is that whole like art thing that I started with. This is what it is. It's interesting to me to see what the story wants to be. We parodied Jerry Maguire in a book. Like it was
okay, but that's actually one of my favorite sequences we've ever written. I loved that. I think that was amazing. Oh.
So I have a question for you, Johnny. If you were revisiting or doing a sideways series, you already know the ending of Robot Proletariat or any other thing that you've done. If you already know the ending, then you don't have to work towards that ending. You're writing like in between stuff. Could you do that?
Well, we'll see. We tried with Unicorn Heathens and it didn't get finished. We'll try again at some point. Trying to insert something in the middle is tricky because I can't just play within. I'm speaking from my experience. I don't know what Sean's experience is on this, but I play within the boundaries that have been established, but that can't be it. There's got to be something new that is discovered. And I'm always looking. It's actually harder that way to me because I'm trying to pull threads of things that quote already happened in the wider world and make them meaningful. So I wrote a side story for the Gore Point world that's a prequel. And so we already knew what was happening in Gore Point, but I'm like, ooh, I want to show the origin stories. I want to show when this weapon was developed. And that's the fun part for me. And hopefully it's fun for the reader, but it does mean the more walls there are, the more rules, the harder it is, which is why I don't seem to be able to do long running series. Because then they develop these big series Bibles. Like if I were in charge of James Bond, I'd be like, 17 movies in, then I'd be like, remember that weird switch that you flipped at the climax of the first movie? That actually did this thing that then showed up in 3 other movies.
So what can listeners take away from this episode? And
I just fucked it all up.
No, you
Well, I think you can always imagine how a show could be different, how it could, or any story, how a story could be different, and how you would reapproach it. But I don't think you have to go back and revisit history because there's nothing that I would actually change. It's more like how do I take what I've learned and apply it to the things that I'm doing next. And like I definitely know, Dave and I are working on some things now, and I definitely know how to do a better job the next time for sure. And the same thing with Johnny.
I think you can do both. 100%. I think you can do both because a book can be any number of things depending on how you position it. So that's kind of how I would look at it is if, the next thing that we write, if it's not Unicorn Heathens, which has a rule book around it already, it would be like, okay, what genre? What do we want to do? And then in that fresh clay, there's no conflict for me. So yeah, I think you can do both.
All right. Well, that is it for this week. If you'd like to keep up with us, go to smarterartist.net/dispatch and get your weekly newsletter chock full of great shit. Chock full.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
They chase the spark, we own the dark. They feed the scroll while we leave a mark. No tricks, no hacks, just the code they lack. Yeah. We stay on the rails while they fall off the track. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. We don't lay stone for spectacle, don't frame for applause. We build the boring way with discipline and pause. They expect the penthouse view before the footing is set. A crown without calluses, a win without sweat. The craft is in the mortar, not the hunger for more. Not the facade that cracks with a hollowed out core. You want the trick, it's tedious, it's thankless, it's true. Show up with intention till the structure starts showing you. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. Yeah. They chase vanity metrics that die at the peak. We pour the slow foundations while they sprint for the streak. We don't rent our attention to whatever blows through. We're setting corner posts for storms they never knew. We're not racing to the ribbon, we're widening the base. Let the footing fully cure before the frame locks in place. Every draft's another course, every session's a beam. We're not chasing momentum, we're constructing the dream. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. They'll throw parades while you're still setting the forms. Pop champagne and glass towers while you're bracing for storms. Some nights you wonder if the blueprint's a lie, if the long game's just patience that forgot how to fly. But scars become load-bearing when the structure survives. When the fast builds crack open and the slow ones stay alive. We don't ask for permission, we don't wait to be seen. We're drafting our futures in the quiet in between. They go fast.